New Jersey is about to do something that no other state has done yet. Could be setting a trend. Hopefully not, but I think it may happen. Let's find out more about it. Joining us on our Newsmaker line is Eric Lendrum. Eric is the host of the Right Take podcast, joining us on our Newsmaker line right now. Eric, how are you? Welcome to the Rod Arquette Show.
I'm doing great, Rod. Thank you so much for having me on. It's great to be here.
All right, Eric, what is New Jersey about to do if they haven't already done it?
Here's the short version of it. So basically, there's an effort being led in the state of New Jersey by its first lady, Tammy Murphy, to make global warming curriculum, or climate change as they call it, mandatory for all K-12 students in public schools throughout the state of New Jersey.
Why is she pushing? Why is she pushing this so hard, Eric?
It's unreal if you look at her statement, of course, that she issued. Of course, this plan was first announced in 2020, but it was delayed in its implementation due to the onset of the Chinese coronavirus pandemic. And for context, her husband, Governor Phil Murphy, has already allocated $5 million towards this for the 2023 state budget. In her statement, she said, this is so important because, quote, climate change is becoming a real reality, end quote. Can we just say, I love the redundancy of that, real reality, as opposed to what, a fake reality, which is what Democrats are already living in, if we're being honest.
Eric, is there already a curriculum designed? Is one being developed? Will school districts come up with their own? How is this going to work?
That is being done from the top down. The state is actually going to be providing teachers from across the state with all the materials and resources that they will need to teach this curriculum at a website called the New Jersey Climate Change Education Hub. Doesn't that sound delightfully Orwellian to you, Rod?
I love that. Now, will this be taught from elementary, middle, high school? What years will kids be subjected to this climate change curriculum?
This will be taught through K through 12, so from kindergarten all the way through the end of high school. So all ages, kindergartners up through middle school, elementary school, and high school will have to learn about this. And again, it's mandatory, just like, ethnic studies or diversity classes are already mandatory for public school, for colleges all across the country.
Why do I fear this idea may catch on around the country, Eric? Am I up a creek on this one, or why do I think this is going to catch on?
No, I agree with you completely. I think this actually sets a very dangerous precedent, if I'm being honest. Now, normally this kind of thing wouldn't be a concern because most crusades taken up by first ladies are usually nothing more than one-dimensional vanity projects. I mean, you look at Michelle Obama's school lunch initiative. Remember that? How that was an absolute failure. But this absolutely is a whole new level of danger in the education system because we all know, of course, how important education is. In last year's election, certainly in Virginia and New Jersey, education, as a result of the COVID lockdowns and virtual learning, remote learning, we got to see firsthand that students are being indoctrinated with ideas like critical race theory and transgenderism, these crazy ideas of race and gender. And that was the core issue that ultimately won them the state of Virginia. Republicans swept Virginia. And keep in mind, New Jersey almost split red last year.
Yeah.
Phil Murphy beat Jack Ciattarelli by just 3 points, which marked a 13-point swing from the presidential election 1 year prior when Biden won the state by 16 points. The danger here is that whereas CRT and transgenderism are meant to convert children on an individual basis based on their race and gender, this new curriculum is seeking to indoctrinate them with a much broader, large-scale message that the whole world is literally doomed, right? That's basically the left's narrative. Greg Gutfeld, I think, said this very well on Fox News quite a few years ago. He said global warming is to the left what Islamic terrorism was to the right in the years after 9/11. It's the ultimate existential threat to our way of life and our very world as we know it. The difference, of course, being, whereas Islamic terrorism, of course, was a real threat after 9/11, and still is today, of course, just not nearly as prevalent as it was in previous years, global warming is not real. As John Nolte pointed out at Breitbart in an article he wrote back in 2019, at least 53 major predictions of global warming-related disasters from 1967 up to 2011, over 40 years, never once materialized. They were 0 and 53. So it's trying to indoctrinate students with this dangerous apocalypse now idea based on a complete lie. But nevertheless, the left is continuing to hammer this narrative home to dangerous results. Just one quick example, of course, is in my home state of California. They're now banning gas-powered cars.
I saw
that. They're forcing the state to go to so-called green energy sources, even though we're seeing it in real time. This forced transition is now causing a near total collapse of the state's energy grid, which is leading to energy rationing, like Soviet Union rationing of supplies.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I get this right, Eric. So let's see. They're going to talk about critical race theory. They're going to talk about transgenderism. They're going to talk about climate change. Will there be any time in the school day to talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic?
Oh, I think that'll only come secondary to once those issues you just listed. Their only writing will be essays about how, we white students must be ashamed of, past sins of slavery and whatnot. That's going to be the extent of writing. And arithmetic is going to be the math of, how many temperature degrees will it take for the ocean levels to rise 5 feet and stuff like that.
It's going to be interesting to watch. All right, Eric, great story. Appreciate a few minutes of your time and good luck with the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, on our Newsmaker line, that's Eric Lendrum. He is the host of the Right Take podcast, talking about the fact that New Jersey is about to become the first state to introduce a global warming curriculum in our public schools. More indoctrination, folks.